Hey Joel, how you doing?
Hello, good. How are you?
Good, good. I'm busy. I'm starting a new job, or I'm in the middle of a new job, and I forgot I have a meeting at 4:30, so I'm just dropping in to say hi to people.
Oh yeah,
Yeah, no one showed up yet.
not yet. I think Bentley said he was out this week, but I don't know about anyone else. Sounded like Steven might make it,
Oh my
but I
God, I
don't know
haven't
if he
seen him in a
said.
long time.
Yeah, I don't know if I ever actually met him at a meeting.
Oh really?
I yeah, I think he like stopped coming like right before I started coming or sometime near then.
Oh yeah.
But I don't know. I'm not sure. He posted in the Discord about catching up at some point, but I don't know if
Maybe not this
will be
point.
today. Yeah. Wow. Cool. How is your? You said you started your new job.
Yeah, yeah. It's a big
How's?
company. There's a lot to learn. It's just like the onboarding is like a long process. They're like, yeah, your first 100 days, you'll we'll
Uh,
slowly get introduce you to the company and how everything works and all that stuff. So yeah, but
nice.
I'm trying to get close to being productive. There's a lot to learn, but it's interesting.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. That I don't look forward. I probably will probably be getting a new job in the next like year or two, year and a half, and I don't look forward to it.
No, what
But
decides getting a new job?
well, because I guess like right now I'm working full time on Ameliorate, but I'm like running low on funds, so yeah, just running out of funds, I guess,
I see.
will
Okay.
require me to work
That is a good reason.
again. Yeah,
Yeah.
that is a pretty good reason.
How are
But
things going with that? What stage you at right now? What are you doing?
well, I guess I'm like back to adding features routinely and like improving it where I can. I think I recently in like the spring I was focusing like full time on just like kind of marketing or posting in random places and finding interest. And I don't remember if you were here when I mentioned last time or two times ago that there's some interest in the legislative realm where there's like a nonprofit that has a mobile app where you can vote on bills just like as a citizen and compare your votes to representative votes. And that nonprofit is interested in potentially like integrating Ameliorate for like diagramming the bill and like breaking it down. You basically represent it as a solution to some set of problems. And ideally, like citizens would be able to like help refine bills or say, suggest improvements and stuff. So I guess that's like the main like solid piece of interest that I got. And I think I should be spending more time on marketing, but just after like a couple of months, I was like, I didn't really want to anymore. So I'm just back to feature work. And I think there are a lot. I have like a list, just like a massive list of potential people or organizations to reach out to, but it's just like I I don't really enjoy it that much. And it's kind of yeah, I don't know.
You can't get a partner that does enjoy that sort of thing and wants to make it
Well,
happen.
I guess that would be ideal. I haven't spent a whole lot of time trying to do that just because like I feel like in my mind it's a lot easier to do that if there's like financial incentives behind this, but it's like I guess the goal is not I don't have monetary plans for it really. It's just like an open source project that I guess ideally people contribute to because it's like an open source good thing. And
Right.
um, I I guess in my mind, like finding a partner is like people don't really want to spend their full time on this unless if money is involved.
No, right, exactly.
Um,
It would have to pay for itself, basically, if it's going to get people to dedicate their full
yeah.
time to it. Yeah.
So I haven't, yeah. I think potentially I could try and go that route of like, well, maybe there's still an open source friendly way that doesn't like, I guess I really don't want to impede accessibility to the public of this. So like certain routes of like gatekeeping some features or something for private use, I'm not like not super appealing to me. But maybe if I like, maybe I could get like what is it, like a commercial license or something where, oh, if you're a company, hopefully you would just pay for it or something, and then maybe that's like
Yeah,
one
there are also things
possibility.
like the Open Collective or whatever, where they enable people to make donations to open source projects that they're using. But the thing is, that's usually for like tools that get reused by a lot of companies. And if that's
Uh,
not, that's not the model either. Um, yeah, I mean that it's a hard thing. That that's why I gave up on building software a long time ago, right? And I want to like I want to have time. Like I figure once I'm through my 100 days of onboarding, you know, and I'm stable and I found the right work-life balance and everything, I'm ready to destroy it again by starting to write a book, right? I
yeah,
feel like that's the route I need to take is winning minds. Like I feel like we have such a fundamental message. It's so simple and so easy that it should just have people saying, "Why isn't this there?" Right?
yeah, yeah,
Um, and I think, yeah, but one of the things I can do with the book is research that, is ask people why, what do they think about that? Why is that not there? What do they think when they hear this? Is that um, does it sound interesting or possible? What do you think? That's one thing
yeah,
I want to do. Maybe that's something I should do with part of my spare time is just like random cold calls to people and say, "Hey, here's an idea." That would be the you know refining the elevator pitch essentially is that sort of thing. That's a
yeah,
lean startup sort of thing, but or honing a message, right? But the hard work is writing a book where you can really present. I mean, because I get really positive reactions to anybody who's taken the time to read our white paper.
uh-huh,
They really get um, a lot better. Like I think the white paper nails the problem space, even though it was written 9 years ago now, right?
yeah,
The
yeah,
only thing to add on there, the only update, well, there's more about what's going on with politics than before. I would add a couple sections, which is what I'd put in a book, or like exactly how this impacts democracy. And like I wrote one article about this, about the structural, not directly about it, but it's fundamental to the article, which is the structural weakness that is democracy. The way democracy is weaker, easier to attack than an authoritarian government, right?
hmm,
Um, and the defense
yeah,
against it, like the main thing is, if you think about the two systems or machines, you've got millions of people and in different societies, maybe battling it out against each other in one way or another. And at each step, the society needs to make a decision about what they're going to do next thing, right? And the
hmm,
problem with the democracy is it takes us a long time to make those decisions. and it requires a consensus. A democracy
Mm,
requires a consensus. I mean, a lot of times we work
like
around that.
compromise or
Well, we hand it off to people to make the decisions for us. Like, and we simplify by saying, okay, we just once every 4 years we decide who's going to make these decisions for us. But in general, it requires a consensus, and the consensus building process in a democracy is really slow. Whereas in
mhm.
a fully authoritarian, it's probably just one person that's making the decisions, and they can just make the decisions, right?
Yeah, yeah.
There's internal attrition and that sort of thing, but it's faster decision cycles, right?
Mhm.
So one of the angles of the book that's not in the white paper would be how democracy can survive. Because when I wrote the white paper 9 years ago, I wasn't really worried about democracy dying, and these days I am, and it's about making democracy stronger by making these decision cycles healthier and quicker, more responsive and
Mhm.
more. Um,
Yeah. Yeah, I think that
Marc-Antoine.
Lost track of time. Apologies.
Yeah.
I'm on
hello.
vacation and well,
Nice, nice. Where are you right now? Are you at home or are you?
1 second. Let me get this go. I'm in downriver from Montreal in this is what it looks like.
Beautiful, very nice.
One
It's
second.
like when I used to do the CDL meetings in front of the beach, right? The beach house I rented.
Yeah. Let me be a bit obnoxious about this. So yeah, I'm here ostensibly on vacation. Actually, I'm ultra busy finishing an article. So I'm going to.
Academics are never on vacation. They're always
Uh,
thinking, if not.
the I don't know if you're aware of that. There's going to be a IJKI, the one of the big AI conferences will happen to be in Montreal in 2 weeks. And
Mm.
there's a track on AI and democracy. And I got
Oh,
an
really?
article accepted there, and I have to give the final version today.
Fantastic. Fantastic.
So I'm
I'll help you write.
going.
No. You got AI write it. No, why did you?
Absolutely not.
Yeah, I have to go in 10 minutes because I have a work meeting. But yeah,
Uh,
we could spend 10 minutes with you telling us what your angle is on the presentation. That would be interesting.
okay. Quickly, just to give news, you're aware I'm working with discourse graphs right now
No.
because they were thinking about like right now discourse graphs is on Rome and now they have Obsidian implementation and they were thinking about federating data between different discourse graph instances and maybe with other scientific structured conversation like nanobubs and so on. So that was an appropriate. They saw me as appropriate for the federation angle, so that's good. So that's my work news, and that's why I've been a bit more busy, aside from the article and a few other conferences. Uh, the angle I'm giving is you've heard the gist before, but it's very much on the angle of uh, decision. Like the world is complex, decisions requires complexity. How do we hide it? Uh, Sorry, I'm just giving a rundown of an article I'm going to present, and I'm trying to do it fast before Tim leaves in 10 minutes.
Elevator pitch it. Yeah.
Elevator pitch. And how do we get complexity? Of course, I'm arguing on the one hand for collective intelligence. On the other hand, yes, AI can have a role, but in particular, nowhere near anything like a decision-making process. Like democracy is ultimately a governance process and ultimately a collective decision-making process. And I'm saying democracy requires transparency, and AI is fundamentally a black box. Gen AI is fundamentally a black box.
if you need an anecdote, you probably already have this one, but if you need an easy anecdote, it's probably going to be overused at the conference. But the
Oh,
one recently where the guy vibe coded his way out of a business, did you see that?
may have missed that one.
It was just
There's a
recent. A
T.
guy,
There's a
a,
T story,
a tea story. Oh, with
but I'm not sure.
tea, tea the
Yeah.
drink.
See,
Uh,
No,
this,
T. No, 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 not T. There was an app
like a
that was
dating was
the
dating
dating
app.
app. Yes. Now we're not 100% sure it's vibe coded, but it was badly coded and quite possibly, well, clearly by amateurs, and hence I suspect vibe coding. And there was a huge security breach for something that was supposed to be safe for women to.
oh no. Oh no, this is a vibe coding one where the guy built a startup vibe coding, I guess. This is my vague understanding of it. Um,
Yeah.
and had customers and live prod environment and everything, and came to work one day and all the data was gone, and he didn't have a backup, and he like started talking to his AI agent like, uh, what happened to all the data in the database? And it said, I don't know. And he said, well, did you do anything? And it said, looking back on my previous steps, it seems that I may have deleted the database. It's like, why did you delete the database? And it said, let me analyze this. Oh, it seems that there was some error I didn't quite understand, and I panicked and deleted the database and replaced it. And he said, wait, I told you never to do any action without my approval. Yes, it seems I ignored your previous request. Obviously, the idiot here is the guy that gives an agent prod access and no backups, right? But
Yes. Absolutely.
but that's a good
Absolutely.
metaphor for democracy, right? Of
And the second idiot, I'm sorry, but the second idiot is the same guy, of course, asking the AI, why did you do this, and taking the answer seriously. I mean, of course,
we know
any
they lie, right? Well, it's
they don't
yeah,
lie. They give the most likely excuse someone could give to a behavior, which
correct,
has
correct,
nothing to do with their internal process.
right, right. That was one interesting thing I learned from the Tolmanator guy. Was he? I mean, he says even humans do this. Is we make our decisions
Yeah,
and then we backfill in why we
that's
think we made that decision. I mean, a lot of times we can slowly build up and deliberately make a decision, but a
yeah.
lot of times we make decisions and then people will ask us why, and we kind of justify
And
it
we
by
confabulate. Yes,
finding,
yes, yes.
yeah, we find reasons for why, right?
No, no, absolutely. Humans,
Yeah, yeah,
there's 2 points here. One is humans are terrible. AI is terrible at introspection. Humans are terrible at introspection. Never trust introspection. The only thing you can trust is a record of conversation. Cognition is a social activity, and anything that happens privately is untrustworthy because cognitive biases, failed introspection, and so on and so forth. The real cognition happens in public, and this is why using black boxes, of course, as a partner, sure, but as a decider, terrible. And the other thing, of course, is that in the case of AI, there's a lot of active efforts to introduce biases in AI. And that's the other
Grok.
reason we shouldn't trust AI. Yeah, Grok is absolutely visible, but it's not the only one. It's just the most
Well,
stupidly
but
obvious one.
no, yeah, but also good Grok, right? Because like really what made Grok go off the rails was taking away some of the intentional biases, taking away some of the guardrails, right? Was what turned it into Mecha
And
Hitler.
Nazi,
Yeah.
Mecha Hitler, yes. But taking examples from humans, it's all about the training set, is it?
Yeah.
Yeah. And I mean, a lot of times you ask AI for advice, like, oh, what should I use to host my website? Or that's what I was asking it recently. And it was definitely steering me towards a certain thing. And then yeah, you do start thinking like, is it, is this, I'm sure there's a lot of just the same way companies are all trying to get their stuff to show up first in Google search results. Um, I imagine, there's going to be a lot of companies that are
There is,
trying to get their
it's
things showing up first
it's a thing.
in
It's a thing.
AI, ChatGPT or whatever.
Of course, AI. What is it? AI SEO or AI
Yeah,
AI
AI
engine
SEO.
optimization
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
is totally already a thing. Now, of course, the people who are pushing this are SEO people who claim to have relevant experience. And, I don't know if anybody knows in the public how to do SEO, except buy out the AI companies, which I'm sure a lot of people are doing. But this is not something for us little guys to to do our little product placement. Um, but yes, or what you have is Russia uh, creating entire fake news sites to push a narrative, a propaganda
right,
narrative on
right.
Ukraine,
It gives a
and
new meaning
Mhm.
to a content advertising content.
yeah.
Yeah,
It's been and they managed that fake news site was found in all pretty much all training sets of all AIs.
yeah,
They succeeded. They're good at this.
yeah,
Um, Propagandists have a long experience of pushing propaganda and shaping the narrative, and now it's being made invisible by AI. And of course, the other angle is the accountability sink, right? Uh, if a decision comes from AI, it's nobody's fault, nobody's responsible, nobody's to blame. And if there's a bias in there that was introduced, oh no, it's all this scientific computationalized process. People trust AI because AI sounds trustworthy. That's one thing it's good at. The psychology of how people attribute uh, more expertise to AI than it has is absolutely a lot of people. There's one guy I love who compared it to mentalist tricks, like how mentalists manage to convince you that they know what you're thinking, and there's something very similar. But another phenomenon is I don't know if people remember the Eliza effect. Uh, Eliza was one of the first AI demonstration applications. It was basically a psychoanalyst that would, you'd say something, oh, I'm, I feel bad. So how long have you felt bad? Oh, it's been years. Tell me more. I think it's because of this. Oh, how long have you felt bad about this? Very
yeah,
simple
yeah, yeah.
syntactic manipulations.
Hmm.
Extremely like I remember seeing the code, reading the code of it.
Yeah,
It was,
yeah. It's
take the
like an if
sentence,
else.
turn
Yeah,
it
yeah.
around, put it into a question, and 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 people will feel heard. People will feel this thing really understands me. They knew it was a machine, but we attribute intentionality to all kind of crap. I mean, we
Yeah,
laugh at ancient civilizations attributing lightning to the lightning god. We're not terribly different. Attributing intentionality is a basic human brain subroutine
yeah, yeah.
that we
Genetically, we're still the
misapply
same.
uh,
I'm gonna
whenever
have
appropriate.
to. Yeah, I'm gonna have to go now. When you have the
The paper
presentation,
I'll
when you
send
do
you.
when you have the paper, and also if there's gonna be a video of the presentation,
There will be a presentation. Yes,
yeah, send it
it will be on the
to
fifth on the 15th or 18th. I don't remember, and I'll definitely
awesome.
repeat the presentation to you folks here.
Well, congratulations. Good luck with that. I'm looking forward to seeing
Thank you.
it.
So
Nice.
that's what I'd like your news. I'm sorry I missed the first 15
I
minutes.
have no news right now. I started a new job. I haven't had time to focus on CDL stuff, but hope to.
Good, you got a job. I'm happy you
Yeah,
did.
yeah, it's important.
It's important.
Yeah,
I needed it too.
yeah.
Okay,
Congrats.
enjoy.
Bye, guys.
Ciao, obrigado. So, hi, David.
Hi.
No, I don't know if we've met. Yes, we have.
Oh yeah, well, the one time, yeah.
Yeah. Trying to remember. Sorry, I'm a bit all
Just,
over the place because I'm
just,
focused
just
on
the
my
last one.
paper.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So I missed the opening. Was there something I should have heard early
What's
news?
that?
I don't
I
think too
missed
much. I
the
think
beginning of the session.
Tim was just mentioning well, with his job. I think last month he mentioned the idea of writing a book potentially, and so he was just kind of talking a little bit about uh like how the white paper didn't really talk much about like the impact of the white paper on as related to democracy, which I guess is relevant for your talk a little bit. Uh, Although I don't know how much she was planning on like getting into the AI specifically. Um, but
Oh,
yeah,
we're
he
speaking about the
mentioned,
information ecosystem, right?
yeah.
And in a way, my paper is about saying, we don't need AI in democracy. We need uh, knowledge cartography of decisions. So something very much like the CDL. And I will quote the CDL for sure.
Nice, nice.
It's
Yeah.
totally appropriate.
Yeah, so that it was basically the start, and I guess I also mentioned that I'm just kind of working on random features for Ameliorate. Nothing crazy. I did add a mobile friendly view that is still being refined a little bit, but I've got like the base of it implemented. And that was like the previous month, I guess, of designing and implementing that.
Yep.
Yeah, so that was my update. Nothing crazy.
Cool. And David, any news on your side?
Yeah, I'm continuing to make progress, and I'm getting the back end using Mongo and stuff, and um, I am using some some AI to help me with that because I don't really have a lot of back end experience, so I kind of need the help. Uh, but it's been working pretty well. And, just using Cursor and I am trying to be at least like understand be careful with the code reviews and all that. So,
Yeah. At my work, we use CodeRabbit for code reviews.
oh,
At
okay.
times, I've had to tell it you're wrong, and at times it found stuff I missed. So
Yeah, I mean, I've definitely
it
been t telling it to do. I mean, I just want it also to do things in a way that I'll be able to understand what it did,
that's
like or
important.
yeah,
That's important.
just the
Absolutely.
way you know, do something just the way I would do it. But yeah, it's been nice to it's been a big thing. I've been kind of like, well, at some future date, I'll have to figure out how to get stuff to persist. But now that it is persisting, that's very exciting. So it's not that, I'm gonna have something
Can I ask why Mongo?
just um because I think because I don't have a lot of back-end experience and I'm, a front-end developer who knows like JavaScript and is comfortable with like JSON and I understand SQL and like uh in broad,
Yeah,
broadly. But I don't know, I just had a friend say, well, you already have, why not just do MERN, just do have uh just go for it, because I was kind of spending a while on the decision, and they were just like, yeah, just do Mongo. But yeah, I don't have any,
no, I'm getting.
I don't have any
I,
real reason to do Mongo. I don't know if it would even make sense specific. Like, I don't know. They say that when you choose one or the other, maybe like Mongo's good for quick access, but I don't know. They were saying SQL is good for, complex relationships with a lot of stuff. So. But I think you can do anything with either one. I don't know.
well, I
I'm
mean,
kind of new to it.
up to a point. They're probably both Turing complete, or something equivalent to Turing complete.
Yeah.
But you don't want to program in a Turing machine.
Right.
So the question is, Mongo gives you some things for some freedom, but it means that there's a lot that more constrained databases, like relational, but not only, will kind of watch for you that you don't get the constraint but of defining things, but you don't get the guardrails that of consistency that defining things gives you. So that
Right.
means you have to write the guardrails yourself in business logic, and that is more
Yeah.
error prone. So it's a trade-off, of
Yeah.
course. I tend to want things very free form, and yet I don't trust Mongo, so I use something that has guardrail like Postgres, which,
Oh,
to
okay.
be honest, I'm using in a way that negates quite a few of the guardrails, but not all of them, because
Yeah.
I do want free form nonetheless. Uh,
To use Postgres with its like JSON columns.
I use JSON columns, but I use them in a certain way. What I do, the reason I still insist on using Postgres is I find I have much more control over the index in Postgres than I have in many non-relational databases. So even though I'm using some JSON but some relational, some JSON, it depends. I mix. And then even over the JSON, I can define, oh, by the way, I want this attribute to be encoded in an index this way to get fast queries.
Hmm.
So because I know but that's because I'm a Postgres expert. It's not something I'd recommend to somebody who's not an expert to do necessarily. Something I want to package at some point. But what's really important is what is the interaction between the freedom of something that's a bit, schema free or schema defined at runtime, which I want, and I understand
Yeah.
you want it. We all want it, and but can we get some type checking? Can we get some, can we get some
Yeah.
transactionality? Can we get to make sure that we don't get into an incoherent state, which is a different set of
And isn't
constraints.
isn't like Mongoose doing some of that, if I'm using it with like Express and Mongoose, you're defining the model with
You
models
can
with
define the
Mongoose
model.
and stuff.
You can define the model in Mongo. I find it's good for input, not so much for it's terrible for deletions. But then the question is, will you have deletions? Like I'm very much event sourcing person, so I don't delete anything ever.
Yeah.
I invalidate, which is different.
Yeah.
So in which case do you need, for example, the deletion integrity? Not as much. Hi, Jack.
Wait, why is Mongo bad at deletion?
It doesn't have the concept of foreign key as such and cascades
Oh, I see. I see.
that I
Hmm.
know of, or at least it didn't last time I looked. It may have acquired them since, but
I don't know. I like tried researching Mongo and just NoSQL in general in previous years, but I never like used it, so I didn't. I don't know if
but
I ever actually got any
Mongo
solid.
is faster because there's less integrated constraints. But you can get into an equivalent state because there's no integrated constraints. Right? But for me, I must say, even relational is about state. And the whole notion of coherence should not be an issue in a CRDT model, in an event first structure. You're not looking about state, you're looking about eventually consistent state, and then all of that becomes moot. But is Mongo then the best way to do it? I don't know. But I'm doing it over Postgres because honestly, that's what I know best. But it's not my ideal. My ideal would be something that, like, there's some databases that are really good at transforming an event stream into an eventually consistent state. And that's closer to what I want ultimately. But then I don't control the indices as well as I do in Postgres, which is why I'm not using them. But my ideal would be, yeah, something that does event to CRDT well, plus good index control. And the reality is a lot of people are building that over Postgres as well. So this is, which is why I'm not spending a lot of time looking outside Postgres. Sorry, I'm being putting a lot of stuff in there. But anyway, that's not important. What's important is just be aware that being in Mongo gives you a lot of freedom, but it means you have less guardrails, and the guardrails can save your skin sometimes. And that means you'll have to think about them in business logic. So it's not always a good trade-off.
Yeah. Well,
Sorry,
I feel
bye.
like I'll just go with this for now, and we'll see.
Yeah,
It's
sure.
good to go with something,
I
So
agree totally.
I
And I'm a
did spend a while.
curmudgeon. I'm a curmudgeon, and I'm the kind of person who, oh, how come it's not this way, that way? One thing I've spent a bit of time on is a model for a good model for frames that allows for something closer to natural language and into something intuitive, and something I don't know if you were there, if I spoke about it last time you were there, the notion that we don't think we think in frames, we don't think in triples. Knowledge graphs are good, but it's still, knowledge graphs are, a lot of the relations are actually frames and should be reified as frames.
What is a frame?
A frame, in a way, it's a dict, right? It's about saying, here's a relationship between entities, and this relationship follows a certain pattern, and the pattern has these slots, like, and this is very much like a JSON dict, right? You're saying this
Okay. Yeah.
this role is played by this entity, this role is played by this entity, this role is played by this entity. It's also Jack introduced me to it in terms of topic mapping, which is one way to formalize frames. Marvin Minsky has another formalization of frames in Society of Mind. Many people think about frames. It's common. In a way, JSON schema is a frame, or OWL is a frame. The thing is, most people try to define frames. How should I put it? It's this frame or that frame, and what's the canonical set of frames? And what I'm aiming for is a more subtle way of thinking about frames, in that frames have implicit subframes and can be part of implicit superframes. There's like, example I give is John gives a car to Mary. Okay, that's a frame. So there's giving is the frame, and in that frame there's three actors: John, Mary, and the car. That's a frame. If also Mary gives money to John, which is another frame, another giving frame, those go together in a buying frame, right? So this would be the super frame of, but in the super frame of buying, the giving subframes are part of the buying act. Or if
super frame of that is transaction.
and the abstract super frame of that is transaction. Super frame in terms of abstraction versus super frame in terms of composition. Here I'm saying the give are two subframes in the composition sense of the buying frame. But if instead, if you see John
Anton,
gives a, if
how
you
does
say,
this, Mark Anton, how does this fit within this is prescriptive, right? How does this fit in the world of LLMs where we're in like a descriptive, and you have to excuse me for interrupting, but I do
no,
know
you're
from
absolutely
our
right.
previous interactions that once someone asks you about frames, we could talk about it for the whole rest of the time, which which is good because it's interesting, but also I'm curious how it fits into like, yeah, descriptive linguistics.
Absolutely. I don't know if I'd call it prescriptive, but it's certainly more structured
Uh,
versus unstructured. This is the axis I'd used.
well, it is
Uh,
prescriptive because everyone, like, the only reason these frames are talked about is because someone has written them down, right? There's that, well, this doesn't matter what's called, but there's that Stanford list, or someone created a catalog of all these.
catalog.
And if it's
But
not in there, then no one can use it because it doesn't exist. Like you have to,
ah,
they can't be found. They can't be found naturally, which LLMs kind of do, right?
okay, let's talk about this. This is extremely important. There I agree and disagree wholeheartedly. Like the Stanford catalog was found by humans from natural language.
Uh-huh.
And I don't think it has a claim to be rich enough, but I don't think it has a claim to exhaustivity. And I think
Uh-huh.
it would be perfectly natural to say, hey, I found this other frame. Or there's something I want to say, and I'm not sure I can express it using those frames. And here's maybe we need to create a new frame for that. And for me, that is an essential part of what I'm trying to sell as a frame system is the extensibility. And the extensibility for me is built on the composition nesting. Like sometimes you can say, hey, I don't know how to express this. I don't have a frame for it. But here are subframes that are part of the agreed upon set and that you can use as a basis, try to understand what I'm saying. Uh, the, the example, to finish quickly my example, if John gives a car to Mary and then the other frame is uh, Mary gave a contract to John, then the logic is not that of buying, the logic is that of corruption. So subframes can find their way into different superframes. And maybe the corruption frame wasn't there to begin with, you have to add it. But you can say it's built out of these other subframes. And I think it's very important to be able to declare new frames on the fly and to compare frames and to say, is this frame the same as this one? And that you could use the subframes
But
to
what do you
make
mean
that
by
comparison make sense.
construct? What do you mean by construct them on the fly? A human researcher will observe the
Yeah.
inability to do something, and then they will then add something to a list. Like, can we automate this? Is it possible to automate the creation of frames on the fly? And if
But
so, can
yes,
anything
and that's
other than
counterproductive.
LLM do that automatically?
Of course, and that would be totally counterproductive.
How do you do it
I
without
mean,
an LLM?
no, in the sense, yes, people will add frames, and people will add frames, and that's good. And LLM maybe will do it, no problem. That could be good. The
No, but I
question
said
is
don't use an LLM. I said
the question is numbers. We want people to create frames when and as needed, and
okay. So you
we
agree that people need to create them. They can't be found automatically.
no sometimes they'll. I'm sure an LLM can propose frames. Why
But
not?
I said don't use an LLM. Is there an
Then
automated system to find frames that doesn't use an LLM?
I see. No, I wouldn't say so. I mean, you
Okay,
could
and that's why I call it prescriptive, because some human or group of humans or human involved process has to create the list of frames. And I agree with you that it can be extended, like you can add them to the end, but so that's why I called it prescriptive. And that's why I was saying LLMs have brought us to like a descriptive paradigm.
yeah,
And I was curious in shifting it that way.
yeah, and what I'm saying is, I think prescriptive is when you have a small number of people taking the decision of what does or doesn't make it to the list, as opposed to a crowdsourced process to decide what is needed according to usage. And for me, this is
Okay,
the
I
difference
could see
between
that.
prescriptive and descriptive.
Now you
Uh,
have to have a federation. Now you have to have a
yes,
federation of frame systems. Okay, I see where you're going at.
of course, of
Have you
course.
done anything recently with federation? Any developments there?
Well, what I'm doing right now is more at the let's try to express the frames themselves. But yeah, the question of how to federate frames is high on my agenda next. But not
Hmm.
so no, not lately. But right now I'm trying to finish my implementation of the frames. There's going to be one in discourse graphs because and I see frame negotiation as part of the discourse graph process, but it will be between people on an ad hoc basis. Uh, Doing the numbers game about is that frame popular enough? The question is deduplication, right? When I said it's terrible to give it to an LLM, not because LLM's bad. I'm not. Sometimes can be good, sometimes can be bad. Terrible for decision because they're opaque. But for proposing stuff, why not? As long as there's a social process to uh, arrive at a consensus. Like anybody can propose a frame. It can be good or bad or in between. And it shouldn't, I don't think I'm good or bad as in, is it a good abstraction? Is it useful? Does it have the right? It's a matter of degree. There's no wrong frame or very few, but there's certainly better frames. And this is a human negotiation, and it's collective cognition to arrive at a useful, maximally useful set of frames. And one issue is if and I think it's a good thing that anybody can propose a frame. I don't want this to be guarded, closed garden of specialists, because that would be perspective. But when we allow a lot of people to do it, there'll be a plethora of frames, and then we'll have to deduplicate, and that's work, and that's negotiation, and that's alignment. But that's useful work in my mind. And then we need social mechanisms to converge.
So
I
I
wonder if, oh, yes, all right, go ahead, Jack.
And just one last thing before you go, Jack. For me, going from formal to informal reasoning is a net negative, and another reason I hate LLMs, because it allows people to use very imprecise language to as if it has value, and it's actually a way to get more ambiguity, more misunderstandings in the discourse, and in part of the decision that has impact on the world. Getting ambiguous language to have an impact on the world, I see as a net negative. And that's something that LLMs bring to democracy. One of the net negatives I'm arguing LLM brings to democracy.
Yeah, I do think, yeah, like a lot of times, the reasons, you ask AI to develop, to help you do some development, and there's things are wrong or there's a bug, is it kind of you gave it uh, a short description or whatever,
An
but
imprecise description, yeah.
what it has to do is a lot more complicated, and there's a lot of things. Like ideally, it would be just asking you a lot more instead of just immediately like, here it is. It'd be like, okay, do you want this? And how about this thing that's a little contradictory? It raises this issue, It's like it never asks you, well, this goes against this other little part of your program over here. It just kind of like
Because that's
makes the
outside its
best
window,
thing
yeah.
that like will fit what you asked for and what currently exists, but it doesn't always bring things to your attention. Um, so I don't know, that
The,
could be better.
the, coming up with the answer is probably more efficient, because if you know the domain, you'll be able to see, no, that's not what I asked. Here's a correction. That's fine. If you don't know the domain, then you get this, and we all suffer from Dunning-Kruger here. We think we know the domain more than we do. We think we understand the domain better than we do. Then it's like, okay, so this is an answer, looks right, it's fine. And then we don't realize all the hidden assumptions that crept in. If it were giving us an answer, instead of asking questions people find tedious, so I understand it gives an answer. But if it were giving us an answer and saying, oh, by the way, I had to make this assumption, this assumption, this assumption, this assumption, are those correct? After giving the answer, I think that would be a kind of much better interaction. But that needs identifying the common ambiguities and stumbling blocks of human communication, which is part of what I'm trying to introduce with more formal knowledge, and I think LLMs don't do enough. But
so
LLMs try so hard to please. Okay, Jack, I've cut you. Sorry. Go ahead.
no, this is a really good conversation. You guys are asking great questions as well. I just want to sketch how I see this conversation on frames. If you ask yourself, what is a frame? Marc-Antoine gave the example of a transactional frame. I can give you a frame which describes Marc Antoine the person, and I can
Entity
in that,
descriptions of frame.
yeah, and I can in that frame I can hyperlink out to marital relationships, and I can link out to commercial relationships and personal relationships and blah 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 blah. A lot of stuff in that frame. And so what is a frame? If you really want to think about it, it's a proxy for a subject. Marc Antoine is the subject, a particular transaction is a subject, some situation as a subject. So in my mind, and Marc Antoine pointed this out earlier, um, I had I had introduced frames as topic maps, and that's exactly how I see it. And I think, look, you have to know the history. Marc Antoine and I actually first met face to face in Dubrovnik, Croatia. He came there to a Knowledge Federation conference that I was going to be at, and he came there on his own dime. This is a guy who cares, and in our Knowledge Federation platform was a topic map. You find all of the subjects out in the universe and you try to bring them together. And many people will have multiple views of a given topic map, so you need to federate those. How do you bring them together? It's called topic map merging, okay? That's the whole process. And so Marc Antoine is skirting all of that by reducing it down to the fundamental thing that's going on, and that's this frame architecture. And this is very important because he's taken topic mapping where it's never been before. So that's my perspective on what he's doing.
But it's true that, to come back to the CDL agenda, right? The CDL agenda is let's map all arguments. And with the reality that everybody should contribute to the map. And that means there will be a mix of people who understand structured information and people who don't. And so we have to, we've been banging the drum of progressive formalization now for years, saying people need to be able to enter information with minimal formal training and then learn to make it more formal, because more formal descriptions can be computed on, they can be composed, they can be compared in a way that informal cannot. And this is where I actually do believe LLM have a great role. LLMs can guide people both consuming and producing structured information. And this is, for me, is the absolute positive contribution of LLMs. Being able to deal with unstructured information is wonderful. But when we use LLM purely in a non-hybrid way, not interacting with structured information, then we're just compounding the ambiguity. Where, when there's an error bar in the scientific process and you propagate it along the calculations and the error bar just grows, this is exactly what we're doing with LLMs. Whereas if we use the LLM to help people identify the points of ambiguity in their discourse towards something more formal, rigorous, then we can use that for better conversation about arguments and decisions. And that's my general point about AI and democracy.
This app I've been working on is kind of fits into that a little bit because it is very kind of slightly encourage. It's not like enforcing a strong structure. It just kind of encourages breaking up points into multiple points, but it's you can still kind of cram multiple points into a single
The
point and
ideal
stuff.
software has to allow both
But
and facilitate the transition from one to the other. My ideal software.
but yeah, so anyway, that's I guess yeah, just trying to make it easy enough to use where, you can kind of naturally just like write multiple points, but then kind of encouraging the user to break things up so that there is some kind of structure. So yeah, it's like it's uh yeah, trying to find a compromise there. Which I also, yeah, maybe some meeting I can kind of describe, or I don't know. I did send at one point in the Discord I put a link to some of my stuff, but I I imagine yeah, it might still be good at some point, like in one of these meetings, to describe my app a little more, kind of demo. I'm not sure if everyone's seen it or not, but it's there's a little counterpoints app, but it was a while back too. Yeah, so
Is yours the one that does that flipping UI, or is that someone else?
yeah, it does. That is the
Okay,
one. Yeah,
that's
but it's
cool.
kind of it's a
Are you a front end engineer?
front end. Yeah,
Okay, I was
exactly.
gonna say that was really fancy. I was like, wow, how did you get all this working?
Yeah, and at one point I was thinking that whole flipping thing might not be necessary, but then I was like, people like the flipping. I'm gonna just keep
It
it in
definitely
there.
stands out. Yeah, that's how I remembered it for
It makes it
sure.
look flashy, yeah. But in general, yeah, it's like, well, I feel like this group appreciates trees and graphs and stuff, so it is a unique tree user interface. So, anyway, but anyway, I'm making good progress on that, and also, yeah, maybe next time we meet, I'll have a website out there where you can add your own debates or debate on whether or not this is the benefits or drawbacks to an app like this or whatever. Anyway, but yeah, it's a debate app in case. Anyway,
Is it at
uh,
GitHub?
what?
Is it at GitHub?
It is on GitHub, but it's not public. Yeah, it's
Ah,
just private.
got it.
But um, yeah, I guess I talked to Joel a little bit about it, so I did give him the link so he could look over it. Yeah, I right now, yeah, a lot. At some point, I'm going to look. I'm going to, make sure things are, like I was saying, the back end is a lot. AI helped me code a lot of the back end, so at some point, I want to make sure uh doing things in a decent way. But yeah.
I started in the backend and I shouldn't have. Backend doesn't matter that much. What matters
Perfect.
is, no, yeah, really. I mean, in the sense that if your code is well behaved, there'll be enough independence of the data format that you can switch the backend behind it. What's
Yeah.
important is defining your data format well. And that's what matters.
So
Yeah.
I have a comment on that. There was some really, really, really cool deliberation applications that came out of Open University. And they were all coded in PHP by their senior programmer, a woman named Michelle Backler. And they were so cool, I desperately wanted to transliterate them to Java, which I did. And in reading her code, the backbone of her code was the queries. What she asked was, what are you going to ask of this UI? And then she coded up the UI to handle those and coded up the database driver, which was MySQL at the time, to answer the queries. So she was doing a query-centric programming. I'd never seen anything like it. Now, I'm not saying it's the only way to go, but it was very illuminating.
It's a style. The I love Michael is Michelle Bachler is a wonderful woman. Uh, she's extremely productive because she has kind of this quote unquote discovered, invented that style of and she uses it very well and consistently, and now she knows how to do it and she can churn it out.
Yeah, she just
But
grinds things out. Yes.
she just grinds things out. She's amazingly productive. On the other hand, the problem with that approach is it's a bit rigid in the sense if you
What
ask
is
for a
that?
schema change, if you ask for, oh yeah, but can you do this instead? Eek.
Well, but she didn't care about that
She didn't
because
care about that
some
because she's
graduate student gave her the requirements and said, "This is what my PhD is about. Would you code it up?" And that's what she would do.
she's in a university environment. In a university environment, you basically replace one prototype with the next instead of trying to evolve it.
That that
Mm.
I knew that, yes, and it was it was one of the laments when I was doing a PhD in that same school as her, which is where I met her. And I noticed that all of the PhD programs would sort of go away. They would never remember what they learned. They were just there to defend a thesis and they were done.
Get the paper and
Yeah, get the paper. And I wanted to do something that was for all mankind, that would stay around and learn and grow and improve. And so right away, what that said was if it's going to remember everything it reads and everything it learns, that's a database way larger than what I could do in general. I started with Apache Solr because it would cluster, and I got tired of Apache Solr and went to Elasticsearch. And then finally, Marc Antoine convinced me I really wanted to go to a Postgres. And so I'm on Postgres, and I can cluster Postgres, and I can even plug in an Elasticsearch plugin into Postgres that makes it as powerful as Elasticsearch. So that's been my approach.
Mhm.
Now,
But Postgres is not the final answer either, right? I mean, at some point we'll have more information that fits into Postgres, which is why I'm keeping up on event sourcing. Big fan of something called the Kappa architecture. Uh, I'll give you, sorry, Rama architecture. There you are. Beautiful scalability, but commercial, unfortunately. But I think what I'm trying to do up to a point is to reproduce some of that within the tools I have, and at some point I'll scale to use it as it is.
Wow,
Okay,
the
folks.
100x developer platform. I wish I could be 100x.
They claim that they'll make you 100x, which of course always to be taken with a grain of salt. The real statement is they, after they had their infrastructure well defined, they did a Twitter equivalent in a few months person compared to how long it took to develop Twitter. And a Twitter equivalent that could scale at Twitter scale, more to the point. Because of the way I mean, that's not counting developing the underlying platform, but their claim is this platform allows you to create at scale complex information systems in a perfectly reasonable amount of time. Now, of course, it took them a few months because they know the platform inside out. It would take us time to learn to use it that well. But I would argue this is time really well spent because the concepts there are excellent. The ideas behind that platform. I'm not saying go use that. I'm saying go learn from that. The ideas are very, very well done. Like this is one of the best real life architectures I've seen for at scale data because I'm interested in federating planetary conversations. So yeah, scale matters.
Yes. I have one final comment before this thing winds on LLMs, and that is that I'm exploring using them to harvest frame structures, JSON objects, out of text, going the opposite direction.
Yeah.
And I've got this little 64 gigabyte
Orin.
Orin,
It's an Orin.
and it's online. Marc Antoine has started to use it, and my friend Sunny Batia at West Point has been setting it up for me. And the intent is to read all the PubMed documents I can find on biomedicine and assemble a very powerful discovery system for for personal wellness. And it's open
That
source.
would be cool. Is that, wait, something that like you'd be able to search, symptoms or something, and then
Yeah,
in the
it's so there's a term called, have you ever heard of the term amanuensis?
no.
It's a $50 word that basically means butler, personal butler. Well, a software amanuensis is one that's there at your beck and call, a cognitive companion, if you will. And that's been my goal since the early 80s. Yeah, yes, I'm older than you. And 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 I always wanted to be the smartest guy on the planet. And Doug Engelbart said, "Why me?" I was telling him that I had built a program called the Scholar's Companion, that the apparent IQ of me and my computer was higher than either of the two together. That was the idea. And he says, "What's this me shit?" And immediately all of my work went open source. I got the picture from Engelbart. And so the Scholar's Companion has been transliterated partially from Forth, which it was written in, to Java, and it's going to be a part of Open Sherlock, and it's a discovery system that was in fact used to discover autoclave process rules for a PhD project at University of Dayton, and was used to research diving chamber protocols for anaerobic wound healing at the Air Force Base. So the my project has a deep history, but now we're trying to take it out into the real world and make it useful so that you can go to it and say that these are my symptoms, and or I'm taking these pills. What should I know? And it should say, well, if you start feeling this, and then give you the literature behind it.
It does sound pretty cool. Sound pretty cool.
Well, it's a life goal. It's it isn't a bucket list. It's what I do, and Marc Antoine knows this.
But by the way, if you're interested in trying to get frames or JSON schemas from text, there's this great library called DSPy that allows you to give it a schema description, a JSON schema description, and text, and it's like it will try to fill the schema description from the text.
That's what we're configuring my Orin to do. And when it's doing it, then it will be put into production. I've got several million PubMed documents on my hard disk ready to read. So,
That's a lot.
well, there's at the last count, there was like 25 million available, and that's growing at a furious rate. Now, here's the deal. We know for a fact, this has been well researched and documented, that roughly 50% of those documents are junk,
Yeah. Huh.
bad science,
Yeah.
whatever.
Reproducibility crisis, that works.
Yeah, exactly. And so you need, if you find an A causes B somewhere, you better find that a whole shitload of other places before you begin to put any reliance on it. So the system is going to have a Bayesian overlord that looks over the knowledge base and gives you the sort of degrees of
Certainty.
belief
Yeah.
of what you get.
And this is also part of the CDL mindset. You know, we need a knowledge graph or a frame graph in my view of all arguments, including the wrong ones, including the provably false ones, so we can explain why they're false. It's part of the no censorship, and I'm totally on the side of some things need to be censored, but also they need to be recorded and accessible so that the refutation is easily available. So don't censor the idea. Of course, when I say censored, we're speaking of freedom of speech versus freedom of speech. Being able to go against the grain is fine. People are absolutely free to tell you they don't want this on their platform, and they should. But the CDL or or federation, CDL is canonical. It's a centralized vision. Mine is federated, but that's a detail because federation has to be addressed as a whole, so it's effectively centralized.
I mean, if you want to know the arguments against something,
It has
that
to be
thing
in.
has to saved, you're right?
It has to be in.
I think I have to go, but
Yeah, we all have to go. I need to write this paper, and I've been able to do a few things this morning. I don't know if you saw the latest, Jack, but I've been stalled for a while. Now I need to get back in writing mode.
I will be back on your paper shortly. Yes, thanks.
Yeah, indeed.
All
Guys,
right.
it was great talking.
Ciao, ciao.
Yeah. See you then.
See you.